starts to drip off and then it dries as it's dripping down and it's really black, and it's just, there's a lot of carbon and condensation all over the entire oven. But then I've also been in cafes where they're really diligent, they follow the cleaning schedules that we're gonna cover, and they look like the ovens in the back where, yeah, you're gonna see some stuff on the stone and here and there, but it's not gonna be where you would, I've seen ovens where you wouldn't even want to put food into it. So
Wow.
so this comes straight out of the binders, or it's on BU under, this is crazy, Sandwich Excellence in BU Connect, Sandwich Excellence. And once you click on that, you go into Turbo Chef and all your documents are in there. So I'm just going to basically read down this so I don't forget anything. But the frequency on cleaning your ovens are going to be daily, but we rotate daily which ones are going to be. So make sure that I've been in cafes where these overlays haven't been there. Well, that's number one, not going to tell your associates what the correct settings are, and number two, the cleaning schedule is right on here. So one card is going to say Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The other card says Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? So you're in essence cleaning one oven a day, but you're rotating between the
so
two.
Means every other day you get them
correct.
Cleaned up.
Correct. All right. There is also a weekly cleaning duty. We'll go over through what happens weekly. I would suggest doing it on a Sunday, just so everyone knows, like at the end of the week, because the key here is there's a filter in the back that has to dry completely before you put it in. So you can't wash it and then put it back in the same day. So the opener is going to have to do that. So it's best to get it on a schedule where everybody knows what day it is. You can pick whatever day. I would just pick Sunday because it's the end of the week. It makes it easy. Some of the tools you'll need, you will need vinyl gloves. You will need a dry green scrubby. You will need a clean dry cloth. You will need the grease strip plus that comes from Ecolab, and then a black cart to put the stone on because we do not want to break the stone. So what we've seen in the past is that if you put it on here, it has a tendency to fall over. Or if we're back in a kitchen, you know how small the rail is in the sandwich rail. This stone is, we'll pull it out of there. It's fallen off and broken. Now, if a stone does crack, it still can be used until you get a replacement in. But I mean, again, I wouldn't really want to use a cracked stone in the oven in case if something would get it into a sandwich.
Gets in the food.
Right, because remember, this is it's a fiber stone. It's not a real stone would probably crack as soon as it would hit the floor. So it kind of stays together, but it's still kind of dangerous. All right, so the first thing you want to do is you obviously follow the cleaning schedule, but you want to definitely turn the oven off. And as Brian noted, it takes a good 45 minutes to an hour to cool down. So one of the challenges is you're going to have to figure out what time of day that you want to do this. The company recommends you doing it in the PM chill part, maybe around 2 o'clock. The whole process is going to take about 2 hours because the oven has to cool down. We have to clean it, which doesn't take very long, maybe 15 minutes, maybe 20 if you're going slower. And then you heard it before, it takes about 45 minutes for the oven to come back up to temp. So really about 90 minutes, you're really waiting for the cool down and the heat up. In the summertime, well, if you open the oven door, it's going to cool down a lot faster, but what we found in the summertime is that nobody really wants 535 degree oven. Have that heat come out in July and August, when it's really hot. So at your discretion, but it will cool down faster if you open the oven door. So you got to open the doors up, you got to turn it off. It will say cooling down on the panel, and you have to wait until it does not say cooling down anymore. That's going to drop it from 535 down to 150. So the reason for the gloves is because we're still asking our Retail Hourly associates to reach in an oven that's 150 degrees. Okay. Any questions so far?
Those gloves come with the, or you have those out?
They're in there, and I think it's in all of your paperwork where you can order them. I've also had some groups order extra of the thermalizer gloves because they're longer. They were concerned with associates
Reaching in too far.
Yeah, because we got to get this back panel off, right? Yeah. So you could do that too, but the only thing there is you got to make sure that because you're using a chemical that you keep the gloves separated. That's why we like the different color. So the blue ones would be for Turbo Chef because you're going to be using Grease Strip Plus to clean it. And then if you're reaching into the thermalizer, now you're reaching into, I understand the soups are bagged, but we still want to keep
Sure,
any kind of
chemicals
cross.
away from food.
Yes.
So the blue gloves don't come with the oven, that's something that you have to order
I do
separately?
believe so. You can check with Joe. Again, Joe has done all this stuff since the beginning, but yeah, that's a great question to ask him. Okay, so we are going to start taking the oven apart. The first step is you just want to reach in here and you want to get underneath the stone, and you want to pull the stone right out. Now, this one has been cracked. You can see the crack already through it. That's why we keep it over here for cleaning purposes. So it does stay together, but again, you know, I don't think I would really want to put product on here.
Something like that.
That you couldn't run it with that. You couldn't, because then these particles could get into the food, and then you're looking at a safety issue. I always make the suggestion. I think these are $60, and they're all in your binder about the extra cost. I would keep an extra one in the cafe, just to have it on the shelf. Keep it in the office. I don't know, somewhere the manager knows where it's at. So if you crack it or break it, you can switch it out.
You're not down for a week.
And yeah, and you still can use it with a crack in it.
Mm-hmm.
It'll tell you that in the paperwork. But when you get to stuff like this, I don't know. To me, with
For
food
liability
safety,
issues.
yeah. So it does say this side is the surface you cook on. This will wear away within time, so don't count on that there. But this is the bottom, right? So you can totally see the difference.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is we want to take the stone out. We want to put it onto the black card. It fits on there, and then big key here is no water at all. We don't submerge this. We don't run it through dish. We don't dump water on it. We don't use a wet scrubby. It's just a dry green scrubby. You want to get all that carbon and residual off of the stone, however long it takes.
And the reason for that is in the name of the stone. It's a fiber stone, so it will absorb the moisture and literally fall apart.
Dry towel again, because again we don't want water, and then we're just going to wipe that stone off, and that's as good as it gets, right? That's how we clean the stone, and we're going to leave that there. And next,
So you don't try to get this black stuff off.
well, with the scrubby you'll be able to. Remember, it's still going to be about 150 degrees, so if it's hot, it's going to come off a little bit better. But you will have black marks on the stone.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
door.
Just like the ones that you saw back in the innovation kitchen, that's kind of what you want it to look like. That's a really clean oven. Now, if the whole bottom is completely black and is gross, I mean, then I would start talking to my managers and say, are we following the cleaning schedule? What's going on? What are the challenges? Yes.
So I watched the e-learning video for this, but there's a step-by-step for this as well,
Oh yeah,
correct?
yeah. Well, and I'm literally following it right as I'm talking to you. I'm using the same step by step. Yep. All right, so then we want to take this piece out here. This is what holds the stone. This is you know
The guard.
the
Guard,
bars
yep.
to keep you away from the back filters. This gets run through dish, so that's not a big deal. And then you want to reach back in here and pull this filter off, and this gets run through dish. So the stone does not. These two do, and we are still on the daily cleaning cycle. Okay. So-
Remember, too, I mean, he's handling this fairly gingerly. That's 150 degrees if they're doing it.
So
After the oven
so
cools
in other
off.
words, don't just hand it to the dishwasher.
Right.
So what the next step is you're going to have some particles in there, so you want to get a damp cloth and you want to definitely wipe out as much as you can. And don't forget the top, right? So this bottom piece, we talked about the impinged air and how it comes through these holes. Well, the same thing is on top, but the top does not come out, right? I can't take the top out. We will take the bottom out. That's part of your weekly cleaning. So it does get white with a cloth.
I have a
Then
question.
yes.
So, if we get, like you said, people drag food on there, it gets black with it. What is the proper way to clean it?
So the next step is your Grease Strip Plus. So there's a couple things you want to stay away from with the Grease Strip Plus that will void your warranty. Well, no, you can put it on the glass, but you can't put it on these gaskets, right? So these gaskets are the seal, just like in a cold gasket, right? For a refrigerator, you want to keep that. You don't want the Grease Strip Plus because it'll soak in there, and then as the oven heats and warms and cooks, when you get back up to 535, that grease could come out of there and fall on the food that you're putting in and out of the oven. So we want to stay away from there. Also, the lights here. So the lights here, the grease can get in behind the lights, and it's pretty I think it's like $5 to $10 to replace a light bulb, but I think it's a maintenance call. It's a pain in the butt to change them out. You gotta get somebody to take the lights in and out. So you don't want to do that. So you don't want to spray the Grease Strip Plus on the lights, on the gasket, or in the back. Because remember, I've already taken this off, so my filter's missing, right? So you can spray it underneath. You can spray it on the glass, or to answer your question, you could spray it onto the towel and get the top. If you have a really busy day and there's a lot of dirt in here that has to be cleaned off, you can let the Grease Strip Plus sit on there for 5 minutes, so that agent's going to start eating away at whatever's stuck on there, and it's going to make it a lot easier to clean. Okay? You can use, let me make sure I'm telling you the right thing here. You can use a nylon scrub pad to scrub the top and the bottom and the inside of the oven and all the metal parts. But again, no Grease Strip Plus in the door gasket, and don't clean or scrub the door gasket. I would just wipe that down with a damp towel. You also cannot use a green scrubby on the glass. So again, a benefit of going later on in the rollout, we've seen cafes that have used green scrubbies on the glass, and it scratches the glass. Then once you get the oven back up to 535, you can't even see through the glass. It's just all foggy. You can replace that, but that starts to get expensive, so we don't want to do that. So Grease Strip Plus can go on there. A wet cloth is fine. So just to reiterate, Grease Strip Plus. I'm not going to put Grease Strip on what 3 areas?
No light.
The light, the gasket.
Yep, the back of the oven, the light, and the gasket. I spray Grease Strip Plus on here, or what else can I do with the Grease Strip Plus?
Put it on towel.
Need to talk.
And glass.
Yes. If
No
it's
scrubby on the glass.
correct. If it's really dirty, how long can I let it sit?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. And then can I use a green scrubby on the?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, you do it.
Yeah, on the.
Just not
this
on the
part.
glass.
On the glass, right?
And then you said you also have a brush you could use too. No. Like, does it ever get stuck like food if somebody did like into those
Yeah, you could just get
the scrubby?
that can
That will take care of it.
yeah, get that off there. Then you want to just wipe it out with a clean, wet towel. No sanitizer. No, we don't want none of that stuff, right? Wiping the outside of the ovens with a clean towel is also fine. If you wanted to hit this with a clean towel, and I will tell you this, these handles and even the handles on both your paddle and your scraper get disgustingly dirty. Associates are touching with their gloves or making sandwiches. I have seen them where they've been very, very gross, so please make sure you're watching that they're wiping the handles off and the handles of the oven. So then we do that, and then we're going to put this back together. So there is a handle right here, and you kind of want to put it angled and then up, because as you see these little wings here to the sides,
Gotta hang in there.
it's got to hang on the back there. So you can't put it back like this. It's not going to fit right. So you have to angle it, get it in the back, lift it up slightly, and then it's going to sit down. And you'll hear it lock like that. Remember, are these run through dish?
Yes.
Yes. So then there's a little pin that goes here, here, and then here and here. So you have to lift it a little bit up, and you got to still stay below the glass. I'm sorry, below the light. And then it's going to hook on to that little pin.
If the light was on, it'd be easier to see. But it's unplugged. Don't look at me like that. You're Mr. Clean.
I know. I used to be able to get this on the first try.
That's all
Just remember, that oven's
There
now
it
at
is.
140 degrees.
It's just 750
So
degrees, man.
the reason it has to be on those little pins.
Because it's moving.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And then this just goes right back on. turn it back on at least 45 minutes, get it back up to 10.